Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. This is part 4 for today. I should be doing 5 parts for Monday, August 7th, 2013. I'm Darko. I'm going to cover some social results of, I guess you would call social engineering and eugenics, among other things. So, man arrested for trying to sell a baby for $100 on Cragslist. Police arrested a man in New York City after he tried to sell a 2-month-old daughter of his girlfriend on Cragslist for $100. Paul Marquez, 23, was charged with endangering the life of a minor and harassment, and bail was set at $1,000, which he did not pay, so he will remain in jail. According to Marquez, he put the little girl up for sale out of jealousy, specifically because the child's mother, with whom he had gone out after meeting her online, was not paying any attention to him. Marquez said he had even given the mother's telephone number to a person who answered the ad, and that person then contacted her to buy the baby directly from her. The mother, however, called police, who are investigating the person who tried to make the purchase. Psychological assessment ordered for a Canadian teen who threw baby in garbage. In Saskatchewan, a judge has delayed the sentencing of a mother who put her newborn baby in a trash can that was taken to the garbage dump so the defendant can undergo a psychiatric assessment. The woman who entered a guilty plea to neglecting to obtain assistance in childbirth and concealing the body of a child was scheduled to be sentenced in Saskatoon Youth Court yesterday. China is supposedly ending its one-child policy. It says here back in 1978, the Chinese Politburo enacted the one-child policy, whose main purpose was to alleviate social, economic, and environmental problems in China as a result of the soaring population. According to the estimates, the policy prevented more than 250 million births between 1980 and 2000, and 400 million births from about 1979 to 2011. It says, while not applicable or applicable to everyone, in 2007, approximately 35% of China's population was subject to a one-child restriction. Regardless of the numbers, things are about to change, with the Chinese economy now having peaked and suddenly finding itself in rapid deceleration, with the excess credit growth providing no boost for growth. The Chinese government is forced to re-examine 35 years of social policy in order to extract growth from the one place where nearly 4 decades it had tried to stifle the demographics. According to the 21st Business Herald, which cites sources closest to the National Population and Family Planning Commission, China may relax its one-child policy at the end of 2013 or early 2014 by allowing families to have two children if at least one parent is from a one-child family. A plan for allowing all families to have 2 children after 2015 is also being reviewed. If an aging population and worsening age structure, the population has been aging fast. 3 decades ago, the Chinese population was young with a median age of 22. The median age in China is now 34, still less than Korea's 37, Japan's 44, and the U.S. is 36, France is 39, and the UK is 39, but much higher than the other less developed countries at 24, and the trend of aging is set to continue. And I'll leave off with this right here because it's kind of interesting. But it goes on and says, traditionally, Chinese families have largely relied on their children after their retirement, talking about China's pension system. However, after a 30-year enforcement of the one-child policy, every one child will need to support 2 parents and 4 grandparents, which is likely to be too much of a burden, saying they'll have to depend on the national pension system. What drove an Apple plant worker to attempt suicide? It was a recurring headline in 2010, another Foxconn worker dead in suicide. Remember, they had to put up suicide nets on the top of the building. Ultimately, 18 workers attempted to take their lives that year, all but 4 succeeded. And these are one of the survivors. You can go in there and hear her story. She was told of inspiring entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates at an orientation, and urged by the way of the employee handbook to hurry toward your finest dreams. She then went to work on one of the assembly lines that exclusively serves Apple, where she examined glass screens looking for scratches, working from 7:40 a.m. to 7:40 p.m., skipping dinner to do so. Bathroom breaks were restricted. She had 1 day off every 2 weeks. Staring at posters saying achieve goals or the sun will no longer rise. You know, and I saw that, I watched that video of Obama over at Camp Pendleton, and I saw, he started shaking hands, one black woman, the first woman, a white woman, the second person he shook hands with, then I think it was one of the Marines, probably officers. But then he started going, there's all these civilians he was shaking hands with, and you just see all these people with these phones, these smartphones, and you see all of them just kind of like click, 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 holding it up and pressing with the right hand on it, and it's just like, they're just stupid zombies. It's like, so what? You got a picture of the CEO in chief, with your phones that are made in slave labor, $25 to make, you charge you $300. It's like, and then you see all the Secret Service around Obama, just like flanked by 4 of them, and these guys look like ex-special forces, like killers. It's like, these people aren't no threat to him, to him, he's a celebrity. And what's so crazy about that too, that watching that speech really irked me, because I can tell how sophisticated Obama is at lying to people and duping those Marines. And it's just really, really, really sad, because what if there was a Marine there that was paralyzed from the neck down, that didn't get help, that had some kind of psychological issue? He did not get any help. And he, someone was like, he was shouting at Obama or something like that, just happened to show up, angry vet. Well, they weed all that out. Like all the people they had behind them, the Marines, I noticed that they happened to have like all minorities right behind him for the whole camera. And then you see behind him a whole line of white Marines. Like I mentioned this before, it's probably different now from when I got out in 2004. But when I was in from 99 to 2004, what I noticed Marines were mostly made up of was white country dudes and Hispanics. That's what I found. Whereas the Army, it's kind of just a mixed plethora. And it's funny that they had to put that in there. Everything was planned. Even that. China's slow economy forces college graduates to live in ant colonies. Despite having a college degree, wages are low for job seekers. At a recent Beijing job fair, graduates know the odds. Only 35% have found work. More than 1 million recent graduates have ended up crammed into cheap, subdivided apartments. They're packed in so tight, they're nicknamed ants. These apartments, ant colonies, are illegal. And CBS took a hidden camera to see one of them with 20 beds and 1 bathroom. Another unit we saw slept 30. So, how's that working out for you? If you type in this article here, this headline, you can get to this link. China's Great Uprooting, moving 250 million into cities. Inside Henry Ford's failed planned city, Jungle Utopia. So, forgotten history of Henry Ford's real Fordlandia, a rubber plantation / corporate city in the Amazon rainforest where workers would have American values stamped into them, and which was ultimately abandoned at a loss equivalent to $200 million a day. So the tycoon basically had hundreds of thousands of new cars, needed millions of tires, which were very expensive to produce when buying raw materials from the established rubber lords, i.e. Rubber lords they're probably there to protect their people's interests so they weren't being exploited. Well, let's just circumvent that. To that end, they established Fordlandia, a tiny piece of America which was transplanted into the Amazon for a single purpose, to create the largest rubber plantation in the planet. 25,000 square kilometer tract of land was purchased by Ford in 1929. Says the Ford employees were relocated to the site, and American as apple pie community sprung up from what once was jungle wilderness, including power plant, hospital, library, golf course. Rows of white clapboard houses grew into a thriving community with Model Ts frequenting the neatly paved roads. Also, it says that they transplanted in America what he called healthy lifestyle, including mandatory American lifestyle and values. Says here, one more thing of drawing cultural differences was Henry Ford's mini prohibition. Alcohol was strictly forbidden inside Fordlandia on pain of immediate termination. Interesting. Workers' discontent grew unproductive as the unproductive months passed. They said that they had a rubber dilemma. The saplings weren't growing. They were getting water sogged. The trees that which were able to survive into adolescence were soon stricken with leaf blight. But it goes on here, and it says that Brazilian workers accustomed to working before sunrise and after sunset to avoid the heat of the day were forced to work proper American 9-to-5 shifts under the hot Amazon sun. New York, the cops take away your cash, car, or house even if you're never convicted of a crime. So there's a story out of the New Yorkers, a heartbreaking story about an appalling police tactic, civil forfeiture, which lets local revenue collectors make tons of money from taking supposed criminals' property. This is a product of the war on drugs from 1984. They passed a crime bill that gave local police departments a cut of the assets seized during the drug raids and other investigations. So this really should not be a surprise to you. Just thought I'd include that in there, that revenue collectors are going to also steal your property, and that's going to be an incentive for them to stop and pull you over, see what they can steal from you besides just your money for tickets, through tickets. Colorado apartment building tells tenants they have to get rid of their guns or leave. Again, you should not be surprised. So in Colorado, they're telling their tenants to get rid of your guns or get out. It's a new firearms and weapons are banned on the premises. So it's like that where I'm at. You know, they said no weapons and stuff like that. So it should just go along, whatever's saying, okay, yeah, whatever, and not mention anything. But I guess they're going to make a big stink about it, you know, and this is ultimately why they don't want people to have their own property. Most people don't actually have their own property. They pay taxes, property taxes, which is basically a rental fee to the state. So they rent the land, so no one really even owns their own property, really. But they don't want people to they want people basically in apartments and communal living, so that they have no options, so that they sign off, right? Martial law coming to America. You've seen that video I showed. Unmarked military base in Las Vegas, increased military presence on the streets, and unconstitutional checkpoints are sparking concerns. Secretive DEA program is using terrorism task forces to help local police make small-time drug busts. A secret USDA unit is using terrorism task forces to help local police take down small-time drug dealers. Those are drug dealers that basically compete with the intelligence agencies, the CIA, and the Fed's own drug smuggling and gun smuggling programs. And basically the cartels that are supported by the U.S. government, like what is it right now, the Sinaloa? That's why you always see like the U.S. or the Mexican government taking down small-time dealers, including the Zetas and that. I might as well throw this in there too. U.S. Air Force transported 24 tons of cocaine from Costa Rica to Miami, allegedly to be destroyed. Yeah. So yeah, basically they said that their incendiary, whatever, basically to burn it and destroy it was broken. So, and if you believe that, I have some land in the Amazon or in California to sell you. Rise of America's Praetorian Guard. So military and intelligence professionals, especially retired ones, are growing more concerned over the growing police state inside America. Those who served and fought to prevent it from being imposed by an outside force have been watching it imposed internally by Americans, including, sadly, even veterans themselves. The example of the 5,000 suspects after 9/11 that were picked up quickly. But it goes in there and says it included the operational Israeli intelligence people that were picked up. But so it says here that New York City police were threatened with death if they ever publicly said a word about it. I like this right here. We now live in post-constitutional America. So as every notion of the Constitution and Bill of Rights as a legal basis now laughable, media reports have begun addressing our society as post-constitutional America, and perhaps they're tragically correct. So with that giant Confederate flag going up in Richmond, the NAACP says it will make Richmond look like a backwater trailer park hit town. So it says here off I-95 in Richmond, the flag will serve to welcome visitors and commuters to Richmond and remind them of our honorable Confederate history and heritage, writes the member of the Virginia Flaggers on the site called Free North Carolina. The NAACP says it's going to make Richmond look like Hicktown. Says there's no intention to stick anything in anybody's face, contends Hathaway. The sole intention of it is to honor our ancestors, but the NAACP rep says they're not buying the argument. If those same ancestors had been successful, he says, I'd still be in chains. Well, is that correct? Abraham Lincoln, 1862, my paramount object in the struggle is to save the Union, and it is not either to save or destroy slavery. If they could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. And if freeing all the slaves could preserve the Union, he'd do it. What I do about slavery and the colored race, I do because I believe it helps to save the Union. In the Confederation, the Constitution, I always say the Constitution was brought by the powers that be. The Articles of Confederation is what they originally had. An agreement among the 13 founding states established the United States of America as a confederation of sovereign states and serves as the first Constitution, began in mid-1776. Of course, they give the crappy excuse of what? The weakness of the government. That means that they were too sovereign. They didn't have enough centralized government. Which is why the southern states signed the Constitution of the Confederate States of America in 1861. So the Confederacy was seceding from the Union, which is what happened in 1776 when Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Other slave owners got together and seceded from the government. They called it the Declaration of Independence and all that. Which is funny because in the end, we're all corporate tax wage slaves. Doesn't matter what color you are. Thank you.